people of the internets. Welcome to another Vorshlag video. This time we test the Yokohama A052 brand new set of tires against a brand new set of Pirelli Trofeo RSs on this 2024 Mustang Darkhorse. Stay tuned. If you've watched any of our videos, you know that us at Vorshlag love to do competition events that we can afford to do. And that means time trial, time attack, autocross, and that's about it. Wheel-to-wheel club racing involves a lot of car-to-car contact, and I don't really have the right personality for that. So I stick with what I can afford to do and what shows off our products, and time attack does that pretty well. So does autocross. And in the last 8 or 10 years, 200 treadwear tires have become very popular, and there's entire categories of classes built around that and multiple organizations. Optima, USCA, Grid Life, GTA, Apex Lap Attack, which is local to us, SCCA Time Trial, even NASA Time Trial has some modifiers for 200 treadwear tires. They don't fare too well against Hoosiers usually, but 200 treadwear is really popular because they wear a really long time for their costs. Their cost per lap is down compared to a Hoosier A7, which used to be the industry standard. I personally ran Hoosiers from 06 through 15 almost exclusively. Our 2011 Mustang Big Red won a lot of free Hoosiers, and I have stacks and stacks of Hoosiers that have one event on them because we won so many of them in that car. The Hoosier contingency helped pay for tires for our 330 E46 and NASA TTD and our TTC Corvette C4, but the Hoosier contingency got pretty terrible in the last few years, and there's a lot of new loopholes you have to jump through, so people aren't winning tires anymore. So I've moved almost exclusively to 200 treadwear. In 2018 on our 2018 GT, I ran them for 2 seasons, and they even have some of those old tires on our Darkhorse right now. So 200 treadwear, really popular. Cost per lap is low. There's a few real ringers, and I'll show those here next. All right, 200 treadwear tires, really popular options from Falcon, the RT660. This is the old 615K. It's a little out of its time. This is a really good wearing tire, but it's not as fast as some of the others. The fastest tires right now, kind of in their own league, are the Yokohama A052 and the Bridgestone RE71 RS. That's the fast tire now, and even NASA acknowledges that, and they have a different modifier for those tires versus some of the others. We've run A052s on, God, I've had 5 or 6 sets of these. I've had 4 sets of these 315 3018s that I've run on 4 different cars. 4 different cars. We've run 2 sizes of the A052 on our 23 BRZ, this 17x9 255 set and an 1810 265 set, and it was dramatically quicker than the RT660s we ran on that car in the same or even bigger sizes. In the past, we ran this RE71R, this 305 3019, and as you can see on the Darkhorse, these are on 1911s. We could fit a bit more wheel width than that, but we stuck with the 1911, and I'll say why. So on the 2024 Darkhorse, we want to run this in 2 series next year in SCCA Time Trial T2, which allows up to a 315 200 treadwear tire, and SCCA Solo STU, which allows a 315 tire but only allows a 19-inch wheel width. And because we tried to fit this 1812 315 onto the Darkhorse, and it barely cleared these gigantic 15.4-inch brakes, it was really, really close on the barrel, and you got a rock in there and you're going to dig a hole in the barrel. We decided to go with this 1911 Apex forged wheel, and the tire options in 19 start to diminish dramatically. The big 18 315 doesn't exist in 19, not in the Yokohama that we know and trust. So we went with this 295 35 19, and it's a compromise, but everything in racing is. So that is one of the tires we're going to test in today's laps. The competitor that came on this car is not legal in 200 treadwear because it's a 180 treadwear tire, but it came on this car from the factory. So we're going to test the Pirelli Trofeo RS P0 and 305/30 19s on a 1910.5 versus a 315/30 19 or 1911 on the back. Again, 180 tread wear tire, and they act surprisingly similar to the hot 200 tread wear tires here. These are good for 1 or 2 laps on a heavy car. You got to be very gentle. If they once they overheat, they start to fall off dramatically. And some people use these in endurance racing on lighter cars, and that works. But your long stint is not on any of these tires. If you want to do long stints, you get the RT660 or even the older RT615K Falcons, because they make some big sizes. This is a 315/30 18, but that's not what we're doing here. We're not doing endurance racing, even though they're very popular in endurance racing. That's not what we do. It doesn't show off our products or builds well. So we're going to test the Pirelli against the Yokohama. And because we had bought these tires on the car new, and they don't come with very much tread. This is one event. They only come with 4 or 5 30 seconds on the outer tread blocks, and we corded a set on event number 4, day 4. So I bought 2 brand new Pirellis on the fronts. The rears are wearing really well, but the fronts really took a shellac. So I drove the car on both sets, and so did Amy. We both got similar impressions, and we had similar optimal laps on both. I will say we went out with the Yokohamas. They had a lot of mold release and stickers on them, and it took a couple laps to get that off, and got them up to temperature. I got an okay lap in. It wasn't as good as I'd hoped. Same with the Pirellis. I had to wear the fronts in. They had mold release on them, and the best lap I had on these was 1.2 seconds off the best we'd had at the previous test with no other changes. So it was not an ideal day, and so the test is not perfect, but it's the best we could do. And we're going to go back and retest these tires because they're both still very fresh after we put a set of MCS coilovers on this car, and we're going to retest them again back to back. And I'm going to try not to have any other cars there that day because that threw me off. I was also racing our 2015 Mustang Trigger after Rapscallion Motorsports had just put a Haltech and traction control on, and I was doing a lot of test laps and changing traction control configurations with Billy over there, and it kind of put me off my game. I did 4 stints in this car, 2 on these tires and 2 on these, and I think I really had better conditions for this tire, and I drove it a little bit better. I drove these like, you know, right out of the box, get the silicone mold release off. I got a lap. I jumped into trigger, and then jumped right back in this all in the same session. And it was, I wasn't 100% on my game. It is at MSR Cresson on the 1.7 track, which I have 600 or 700 laps on, so I can usually get 2 laps back to back within a tenth. And my optimum laps in both tires were very, very similar, but I didn't really get great laps in either because of some other conditions that were out of my control. Let's take a look at some laps.
This is stint 1B. It is 10:49 a.m. Ambient's 46. The track is still a bit cold. Tires were a little high on the front, pressure-wise. Dropped them to 33. See if they behave better. Again, brand new set of Trofeo RS is up front. Original 315 RS is on the back. Lap 1, starting out. Already through that entry. Tires are already hot. This may be a wasted effort. apex left and right. Yeah. I think that's all I got, 119.6. That's about 1.2 off my time, my previous best. But, I don't know, different day, different conditions.
All right, after that first stint in the car, I ran a 120.1, predictive 119.7. The video we just saw was my second stint after we changed pressures, and I ran a 119.64 on an optimal 119.63. Remember that second number. Came into the paddock. Brad and Amy changed tires. They took the Trofeos off. They got the A052s on. I was out driving trigger. Then I went back out. About an hour later, it was only 4 degrees warmer.
All right, we're going to take our first laps on the Yokohama A052s on the Darkhorse. Track test 4. December 29th, it's 50 degrees ambient. Track temperature is about 70. Tires are going to be slicker than snot. They are brand new. Same day, same driver. It's 4 degrees warmer now. It was only an hour ago. Drove the Pirellis. Came out with 28 PSI cold. Sticker tires. Lots of Pirelli stickers. Kind of surprising. Granted, these tires still had mold release on them, and I may have to come out in another stint because the first session in the Darkhorse with brand new fronts was only like a 120.2. This is a 120.3. Okay, that first stint on the Yokohamas was less than ideal. I ran a 120.35, but the optimal lap, 119.63, is almost exactly the optimal lap on the Trofeos. I did go out again. We adjusted pressures down. It was a little bit rushed session. I had 2 off late in the lap, but the optimal lap was a 119.42, so 2/10 quicker potentially. Again, if I wasn't driving 2 cars that day and sick with pneumonia and trying to do too much at once, we probably could have gotten a better test. The conditions didn't help. It was really windy, and just the ultimate times were off of our previous stuff. So, you know, it's a less than perfect test. I still wanted to share this with you folks because a lot of people were bugging me. We're going to redo this test again soon, probably late in January after we put the MCSs on. I know this video got a little bit long, and it was a lot to explain. So again, thanks for watching.